What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another review. This time we're taking a look at Red 2, the sequel to Red, which is based off the graphic novel of the same name, which was published by DC Comics. Okay, Red 2 is the pretty much reunites Frank Moses with his team as they now have to track down a nuclear weapon that can destroy the world. Alright, that is the very simplistic plot of Red 2. Let's talk about it. I don't think Red 2 is as good as Red 1. I don't think Red 2 comes even close to the goodness of Red 1, of the first Red movie. Now, that doesn't mean that I hate Red 2, because I don't. It still has a lot of good moments to it. The cast is still really, really strong. But from a story perspective and the utilization of some characters and the absence of other characters really make Red 2, to me, to be just a very middle-of-the-road movie that doesn't have the same energy or charisma as that first movie, which is a shame, because Red could have been a potentially really good series of movies if it would have just maintained that first movie's sense of style and fun, which I do not think Red 2 has an overabundance of. So let me just get the things I liked out of the way first. I overall do think the cast is fine. Bruce Willis once again returns as Frank Moses. I like him in the movie, though I think his performance in this movie can be a little bit more mundane as compared to the first Red movie. I mean, there's certain areas in this movie where Bruce Willis is just sleepwalking through the role, and it's a shame, because in that first movie you can tell the man was having a good time. In this one, there are moments where he just looks bored to be there. And like I said, it's a shame. John Malkovich returns once again as the character of Marvin, and I liked Malkovich in the first movie, and I like him in this movie. Malkovich maintains the same energy as the character of Marvin, and you can tell that Malkovich is having a good time in the role. Mary Louise Parker returns as Sarah, the love interest. She's fine too. This movie tries to develop a love triangle with this Kaja character played by Catherine Zeta-Jones, along with Sarah and Frank, and it's okay. I don't think it was necessary, to be honest with you. It doesn't really lead to any entertaining or fun scenes, and to me, Sarah and Kaja, they don't even have a payoff against one another. So to me, that was kind of an underwhelming letdown. Didn't really care for that whole subplot. Helen Mirren returns as Victoria. I don't really think the Victoria character is utilized great in this movie. Tell you the truth, this movie could have been written without her, which is a shame, because I liked her in the first movie. However, this movie does expand on the relationship with Victoria and Ivan, played by Brian Cox, and I don't know what it is about Victoria and Ivan. I just like this relationship. I like that these two, just maintain a romance with one another. I don't know why. I just found it very entertaining for some reason. Yeah, I like the scene, and although I don't really care for the fact that Brian Cox is barely in the movie, that he comes in close to the third act. I mean, I would have had him have more of a larger role, to be honest with you, because when we actually introduced the three new additions to this movie, with one being a welcome addition and the other two kind of being useless, kind of makes me wonder why you didn't give Ivan a more of an expanded role. Makes me wonder why we didn't bring back, Carl Urban's character of Cooper. He's nowhere to be found in this movie. Instead, we have these characters, Horton, played by Ian McDonough, and Han, played by Bong Han Lee. And honestly, truthfully, these characters did absolutely nothing for me. The character of Horton is trying to find this nightshade thing, and he's going around killing people, and eventually he's killed off by the Anthony Hopkins character of Bailey, and it doesn't really mean his character did nothing for me. Lee plays an assassin who's hunting down Moses, and didn't really care for his character at all. I mean, and near the end of the movie, he and Moses end up joining forces anyway. I would have just swapped out the Han character with the Cooper character, because the last movie was already developing a sort of a relationship / rivalry with Moses and Cooper, and I would have liked to see more of that expanded upon in this movie, with Cooper kind of being groomed to take over the Moses spot in a way. I thought that would have led to a more interesting story, but Cooper's nowhere to be found in this movie. Instead, it's almost like he never existed, which is a shame, because I really enjoyed Carl Urban in that first movie. I was liking the Cooper character and the rivalry that was happening Instead, we get Moses taking on this the Han character, and I just don't care for it. This movie also has like another character called the Frog, played by David Thewlis, and the Frog, he's unnecessary. He has 2 scenes, and then he died. Then he pretty much takes the poison and kills himself. Unnecessarily useless. This movie has a fake out with Marvin faking his own death. It's just done for a comedic effect, and it wasn't even all that funny. Why did it happen? Can't really tell you. The action scenes in this movie, they're okay, though they're not as cool or stylized as they were in the first movie. These action sequences in this movie, they feel just very stock and generic, like you've seen them before in any other action movie. Not only that, I think the direction in this movie is really just lifeless, which is a shame because Dean Periest, who directed this movie, he also directed Galaxy Quest, which is a funny freaking movie and a good satire on Star Trek. So you would think someone like that would bring that energetic directing to a movie like this and kind of give it a more of a satirical element. Instead, this movie just feels like a standard action movie, and to me, it kind of feels disconnected in a way from that first Red movie. Like, when you watch Red and Red 2 back to back, like, there's some stylistic differences between the two. Red 1 has a very just comedic, just, you know, flashy look to it. Red 2, it kind of feels more serious, and I don't really understand why this movie decided to take itself more seriously. It does have comedic moments here and there, but it feels more serious than it does comedic in a lot of scenes. And I think Red 2 is actually a little bit more darker in terms of its tone when you compare it to Red 1, which I really didn't really care for. I like the light, heightened, you know, over-the-top atmosphere of that first movie. And this one has a more darker tone to it, which I didn't really care for, especially since that first movie set up the first movie had darker elements to it, but it still maintained its comedic edge. This movie, I don't think has that comedic edge, but it does have some comedic moments to it. I think from a villain standpoint, I think Anthony Hopkins as the Bailey character, I thought he was entertaining. Anthony Hopkins is always fun to watch on screen. He was entertaining, and he was entertaining at least. Though his villain plot is just to blow up the world and see his creation destroyed. So it's nothing really all that spectacular when you look at it, but at least Anthony Hopkins is enjoying himself. So yeah, those are pretty much my thoughts on Red 2. It's not a movie that I hate when you compare it to that first movie. It is really lackluster, and it could have been so much more. But I'm just going to give Red 2 a solid 6.5 out of 10. It does get the job done. It is a very entertaining watch, and it does have moments. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Red 2. Let me know yours in the comment sections down below. Like the video and subscribe, and I will check you back next time for more.